What's up, agents? Apparently somebody else likes our look. Hope you guys are doing extremely well, staying safe out there. It's week 5 of season 4. I'm getting into my anniversary boom build. So we're basically revisiting the build that got me started. Look at this guy. Look at this guy. All right. I'll meet you agents inside where we can get some shit done. Let's cruise on inside. All right, agents, we're going to cut this short. Sorry for that. Of course, if we're going to be doing a boom build, we have to use the right specialization. So, of course, we're going to be going with the Demolitionist. So, to quickly go over the benefits of the Demolitionist, we got increased burn resistance. We got armor kits that boost the handling of our weapon for 15 seconds. We get a 10% increased explosive damage. So, this will affect our grenades, our skills, that's both the seeker mines as well as our artillery turret, and effects. So depending on the different talents that you may choose, it can add to those as well. We get the fragmentation grenades, which cause bleed. Of course, choosing Demolitionist unlocks the artillery turret, which is one of the mainstays of our build right here. Second stage increases the amount of ammunition, and third stage will increase the damage. If you're running in a group, your group members will gain a 5% damage to targets out of cover. A big one that people don't notice very often, but brace for impact. Once every 30 seconds, you can ignore an explosion. And when they say ignore it, it's entirely. It does not knock you out of cover nor damage you in any way. And you will see a little gray counter that just looks like that icon right there of the countdown. Once the 60 seconds is down, you will have the ability back. When you reach 0 armor, it automatically refills all the weapons. And one of the favorite ones that I tend to forget to put on is the small laser pointer, which gives a plus 7% critical hit chance. And lastly, it unlocks our signature weapon, the M32A1 multi-shot grenade launcher, which in our current state does 3 million damage as the base. All right, let's get deeper into the build. All right, agents, this is an entirely high-end build, so we're going to be using a combination of 4 different brand sets. Let's get into it. All right, so right out the gate, we're going to use 1 piece of each Wyvern for the plus 10% skill damage. We're going to use 1 piece of China Light for the 15% explosive damage. These used to be additive. These have now been separated, and they are multiplicative with each other. So anywhere you guys can get explosive damage, you want to get it. The reality is we only have 3 main methods to get it. We got 10% from the Demolitionist. We have 15% from the China Light. And that gets us into the 2 groups of 2 pieces. So the one we're going to have in every iteration is 2-piece Grupo Sombra. So you notice the first piece gives us the critical hit damage. Not a big deal, it's great, it's a good amount, 15%. But the second one, an additional 15% explosives damage. So what that means is with this in combination with the China Light and then that Demolitionist perk, we get a total of 40% bonus explosive damage. With the Grupo Sombra, they always roll weapon core. So that means you have to get damn near a perfect roll the way you want it so that you can roll the weapon into skill tier. So you notice this one's got 9.9 skill damage, and this one's got 10% skill damage. This one had maxed out crit hit chance. I was like, man, that works for me. I prefer skill haste, but you know what? That'll give me a little extra weapon damage. And this one's crit hit damage. That works nicely with my crit hit chance. We're just going to have to hope that skilled, or in this case perfectly skilled, does its job more often. Now we come to the final brand set, which is actually 2, depending on what we're going to use. I'll get into the 2 different sets right now, what they give you, and then we will go ahead, and when the time comes, I'll explain why you would use the different ones. So first of all, you could use Empress International. This is the new gear set that came out in Season 4 with TU12. One piece gives us plus 10% skill health. The second piece gives us an additional plus 10% skill damage. The other option you guys could have would be to roll with 2 pieces of Hana-U. You guys notice the first piece of Hana-U would give us plus 10% skill haste, which, let's face it, that plus 10% skill haste is significantly more effective for us than the 10% skill health we get from the Empress International. The second piece gives us the plus 10% skill damage. So why would we use Empress International over Hana-U? Stay tuned, we'll get into that in just a moment. All right, agents, now let's talk about what sort of weapons we're going to be using with an explosive build. Now, the top dog for any skill build right now is obviously the capacitor. Plus 11% damage to armor, which does affect our explosives. Then it comes with health damage. This max roll 9.5%. The health damage is not a great roll, but when you are fighting against the tanks, the heavies, since they do not have armor, this immediately contributes to more damage against them. Now, why the capacitor is awesome, unlike most assault rifles, you notice that the core attribute is health damage on assault rifles, albeit it's significantly more than we get with the capacitor, but the fact that we get the damage to armor is a significant bonus. Now, while depending on the build, your playstyle, and all that, there can be variations as to what you find to be the best weapon. I'm going to go in descending order of what I think the best weapon is. What I find to be the second most effective weapon is to run with the Carnage. If you can get one, okay, the LMGs, first of all, they suppress. So you can keep targets in cover for the Seeker Mines to get to them, or so they stay there and get hit with the turret. So that suppression can be highly beneficial for this build. Second of all, LMGs come with the core attribute of damage to targets out of cover. So that does have an effect and adds increased damage to anybody you hit who's not technically in cover. Beautiful thing is, too, if you send the Seeker Mines out, the guys either get hit by the Seeker Mines, which blast them out of cover, and then you hit them with the turret, or they do the dodge, evade, roll to avoid the Seeker Mines, in which case they're out of cover. Either way, if your turret targeting is on, they're getting hit, and you're getting the damage bonus from that target's out of cover. Now, you notice this one also has damage to armor. Now, it's not as high as it could be on, say, a shotgun or anything else with the core attribute. However, that plus 6% is multiplicative at the end there. So I do appreciate damage to armor. If you don't have a Carnage, or for whatever reason you are finding that you're not bleeding enemies a lot, you can always go for a tactical M249. This one has in sync on it. This is almost as much damage to bleeding enemies as the Carnage, and will actually ultimately tend to be more damage against non-bleeding enemies. The reason why I don't use this is because if I'm going to be shooting with this, I might as well be using the capacitor. Just a better weapon all around in that case. And as always, I run my backup boomstick with Future Perfect. If I get pushed on, I can go ahead, take the enemy down quickly. It's got damage to armor, which of course is beneficial. I would have preferred if this native roll had come with damage to targets out of cover instead of critical hit chance, but you know, this is still a great gun. Other notable weapons to use. Of course, if you do not have a capacitor, you can run with the test subject for the perfectly in sync. This will give you the native health damage on it, and you can roll. This one has damage to targets out of cover. If you want and you have a good roll, you can roll that into damage to armor. You know, just a great gun right here. Another option you guys could run is to run the Mop. This will give you the bonus damage to armor, and every kill that you get will give you 10% of your armor back, whether it's you getting a kill with the shotgun, whether it's your Seeker Mines getting the kill, whether it's the Mortar getting the kill. No matter what it is, you'll get that back. So in my case right here, I basically get 73,000 armor back per kill. So when roll with Spike on it, hopefully, you know, you can get whatever perk you want there. Spike, In Sync, Future Perfect, you know, Perpetuation if you like that. I don't recommend Perpetuation myself, but Another great option, if you guys like to do the long distance engagements, throw the seeker mines a good ways away, fire the turret from a ways away, you can use the scalpel for the future perfection. You can go into an engagement before you even engage the enemies. You can pop your turret up, get a nice clean shot with the scalpel, get a headshot, proc your overcharge, throw out your mines, send your turrets. You're going to have a huge, huge radius. And utilizing the scalpel, you can pretty much, as long as you have the element of surprise, you can finish almost all engagements before they even know what started by simply getting that future perfection and then unloading a barrage. The last weapon on the list that I would recommend would be to run the Surge for the perfect spike. This is a rifle, gives you the ability to proc spike from a distance, and then gives you 15 seconds that you can just lay back and get some solid targeting. So if you're the guys like myself that I don't have the best aim, sometimes it might be better for me just to get that nice little headshot, get into cover, and take my time aiming. Especially if you're in a group, so you got some people to take the aggro, this can be highly beneficial. Of note, there's also the Harmony. If you like rifles, since they came out with the test subject, I just as soon use that. But to each their own. And again, if you want to use perpetuation for whatever reason, you got the Everlasting Gaze for the perfect perpetuation. All right, let's move on. All right, agents, next we should talk about the chest and backpack talents. So while we get into talking about the talents, let's go ahead and quickly talk about the Empress versus the Hana-U and why. The only reason I use the Empress is because I'm using perfectly skilled. Also, there would be an argument if you wanted to use the perfectly calculated. You could also use the two of these in conjunction if you'd like. I do not like the combination of the two. I personally like the perfectly skilled and then running tech support. We're going to get into the different variations there. So if you are using Empress International for either of these two perks, then you would want to use the second piece's Empress International to get that plus 10% skill damage. If you're not doing that, particularly if you're not going for the perfectly skilled, that's when I would recommend running Hana-U. Well, because what we can do is you run Hana-U and you get the additional skill haste. Not to mention the fact Hana-U also has the force multiplier, which is the better version of combined arms. It's perfect combined arms. Anyway, let's get into the actual talents. So my preferred talent for this build is Empress International, the Caesar's Guard, using the perfectly skilled. Skill kills have a 30% chance to reset skill cooldowns. This is 5% more than the standard version of skill. And I do notice quite a bit, well, let me change that. I count on skilled proccing quite often. If it's not proccing, then I have to resort to my guns. This is not the best build for doing that. But this seems to work a lot, and I'm still doing heroic missions solo without much problems using this build, as long as I think ahead. I do not recommend kinetic momentum. While the turret will be out and build the stacks, you send the seeker mines, they explode, they're gone, you're waiting for cooldown, and it ultimately is a damage reduction to use kinetic momentum in this build. Glass Cannon is the largest damage bonus that you could possibly get in this build by just using a single chest piece. However, you do have that disadvantage of taking 50% bonus damage. That's multiplicative. So everything that hits you will do 50% more damage. So you decide if that's worth it. A skill worth noting is Spotter. If you are running in a group and somebody else is using some form of pulse to pulse the enemies, this is a great way to get amplified. This is multiplicative at the end of the damage. So this is a great damage bonus itself, but it's only worth using if you know you're going to be running in a group. This is actually a very fun skill to use, very fun talent, while using an explosive build. This is one of the few builds that I actually feel like this is worth checking out. Explosive Delivery. When you throw a skill, 1.5 seconds after landing, it creates an explosion, damaging enemies within 5 meters. Damage scales with skill tier, dealing 25 to 100% damage at the concussive grenade. So, the concussion grenade. At most once per skill. But both your turret, if you don't place it, if you actually toss it out, it will create the explosion. Every time you toss your seeker mines out at the point of impact, it creates an explosion. So you can use this to effectively throw your seeker mines out and kill one of your enemies directly outright with this. And in this situation, let's just back out here real quick so you guys can see. We're looking at almost 2 million damage as the base damage from the concussion grenade right now. And this is a bigger radius. The concussion grenade's only 3 meters. This is 5 meters. And the last talent that I really think would be worth using for this build, since we do tend to be in cover quite often, would be to use Overwatch. And this is a great skill simply for the fact that this doesn't only buff your weapon damage and your skill damage, this buffs the damage for the entire team. So if you're running this as your standard build, then you actually don't have to change anything over to be able to benefit an entire team. All right, agents, as far as your backpack talents, we got a couple different ones that'll work out to good benefit. You just got to use them in combination with your play style. Let's take a quick look at those. The one that I recommend and I run the most is the tech support. Skill kills increase total skill damage by 25% for 20 seconds. And why I use this is because these skills all hit so hard that I tend to get one hit, one kill. Well, if I don't, then as long as I get the first kill, this 25% bonus damage pretty much ensures that everything I get, every hit after that is taking the enemies out. And then I have 20 seconds once I proc this to get the next bit of damage out. So this tends to be the easiest way for me to maintain damage and keep myself safe. As you guys can see by the armor, this is a pretty squishy build. Now, you could use the Empress International Battery Pack Name Backpack. This will give you perfectly calculated. Kills from cover reduce skill cooldowns by 15%. Now, while that doesn't seem like a lot, you got to consider that the standard calculated is only 10%. So this is 50% better than the standard version. So if you are a guy that uses calculated, you really should look at the battery pack and running perfectly calculated. Another option we have is the Force Multiplier Backpack. This is a Hana-U. If you're running 2 pieces of Hana-U, you can use this. This has the superior version of combined arms, perfect combined arms. Shooting an enemy increases total skill damage by 30% for 3 seconds. While that window of damage is small at only 3 seconds, that is the largest damage bonus that you can get on a backpack. The standard version is only 25%, and tech support is 25%. So this is a 5% bonus over all of those. Another option that's viable, if you want to count on your status effects buffing your damage, you can go with the China Light Strategic Alignment Name Backpack. To give you perfect shock and awe. Applying a status effect to an enemy increases total skill damage and repair by 20% for 27 seconds. Now, this is the smallest damage bonus of all of them. I personally think the other variations are better, but if your best roll on a backpack happens to be the strategic alignment, go ahead and use it. Just not my preferred method. All right. All right, guys, as far as mods, you can use anything you want on your weapons, on your gear. I tend to run 1 armor on kill and then 2 skill haste, but whenever you want. I mean, if you guys want to run, you can run 3 armor on kills and get up to 60,000 armor back per kill that way. You could get yourself, 18% critical hit chance if you wanted to do that. If you wanted to run all reds, you can get yourself up to the 36% skill haste. If you want to run all yellows, really, you got to figure out what works best for you with the mods. The one thing to remember is because we are running, and see, I don't have it on here, since we're running Demolitionist, don't use the 5% laser pointer. Use the small laser pointer for the 7%. Don't forget that bad boy. I always forget, can't you tell? In fact, I don't want to mess it up. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to go ahead and save that in there right now just so I don't forget. Well, agents, the last thing to do is head down to the range, do some testing in the range, and then we'll head out to the open world or a mission and see what it looks like. Let's check it out. Anyway, let's get right into these damage numbers. So the base damage of our cluster seeker mine is 3.29 million. And the base damage of our artillery turret is 3.88. All right, so this is going to proc tech support, and then we'll have to wait. So here's just the Seeker Mines. You guys notice that procced our skilled, right? So we'll just go ahead and get that out of here. All right. So notice that, and that was with our Carnage, right? So this way, I get the bonus damage to armor and the bonus to targets out of cover. So that's why I got the Carnage in my hands right here. Now, the thing about that is that's if we don't have 0 stacks. Let's do the same thing. Let's do this. Let me get all my stacks up. Check this out. Alright, and skill goes off again. So now we're going to pop this guy out, and this is with tech support. Alright, now we're going to test the with tech support. Alright, nice 6. Handful. So that's base damage with the base build the way I run it. Alright guys, so if we're going to do max damage, the easiest way to achieve that, right, is we'll just swap out a Wyvern chest piece with glass cannon. We'll go with the force multiplier, right? And then we went with the second piece of Hana-U, since we're not going with the Empress International anymore, right? So that gives us a base damage of 3.29, 3.88, just like we had. However, let's look at these numbers. All right. All right. And here's no armor. All right, you see the damage goes down once we're down to the health, right? All right. Now, let's max this shit out, shall we? All right, guys, we're going to go for max Seeker Mine damage now. All right, and we're going to do one more here. Just on a single target so we get a good number. All right, now, okay. And again, one more. All right, and last, if we keep shooting on them, keeps that bleed up, right? So you can actually keep the bleed damage up as long as you keep damage consistent using the combined arms. So. Alright. And right, guys. So that's the damage range that we have there. Now we'll see how this does just running around in the open world. Wait, what was that? What the fuck was that? Alright, we're going to have to go back and watch that video. Because, dude, what the fuck was that, dude? Alright. Oh, shit. Holy fuck. Fix your fucking game, yo. Alright. Well, up until that point, you saw this works pretty good. Now this, I normally would go into the room. I think we're going to want to hang back at the door here so we can just... My mailbox is full. I need to get on my hardcore character and pull a bunch of that shit out of the mailbox. Alright. Dude. This is what I'm talking about indoors. Alright guys, since I'm not going to do a lot of shooting, I'm going to use my skills. So I'm going to go ahead, instead of having the damage to armor and health damage from the capacitor, I'm going to go ahead and get the carnage on so I get the damage out of cover and the damage to armor. Alright? perfect time to get some stacks. Oh, all right. Boom! Oh, he should not have moved in there. That wasn't very smart. All right. Should be able to smash through this pretty quick if skill procs. Dude, come on, fire, dude! What the fuck? This is some of the shit I really do like about this, is when it decides that it doesn't want to fire when I need it to fire. Oh, dude, I thought it was closer. Alright. Alright. Oh, dude. Alright, agents, as you guys can see, this is a very powerful build. The one thing you have to do is be careful of positioning. One, you can kill yourself with your mortar. It's happened to me a couple times. The second one is the mortar is not effective in confined heights. It'll bounce off the ceiling, not go where it's going to go. And overall, if you're not running with a build with skilled or calculated, you could run into the issue of not having your skills available when you need them. And it's a fairly squishy build, so you could find yourselves in some precarious situations if you're not careful. Other than that, though, this cranks out more damage than almost any other skill build in the game. If you guys can figure out how to use this to good effect, I mean, this can get you through any content in the game. All right, agents, thanks for watching this. You guys take it easy. I'll see you all in the Dark Zone.